Ever wondered why the rich people keep getting richer and poor people are stuck in the same rat race? In this video, we're going to be discussing the 7 things that rich people do that poor people do not. Hey guys, my name is Gagan, and on this channel, my aim is to teach you the importance of financial freedom and how to get there. So I'll be covering things like how to make multiple income sources alongside your job, how to invest that money, as well as how to manage your wealth. So if all that interests you, consider subscribing as I'll be uploading regular videos. Now there's a common misconception that rich people just get lucky, or they're greedy, or it just takes money to make more money. While the last one is slightly true, it is easier to make money if you have some money. However, that's not the end of the world. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos did not start off with a silver spoon in their mouth. They got there with the power of their mind, and that's ultimately the difference between the rich and the poor. The ability to think differently, to apply these principles into their daily lives and fundamentally change their future forever. Because someone once said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. So let's get into it. The first thing that rich people do differently that poor people don't is buy assets instead of liabilities. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So an example of an asset could be rental property bringing in monthly rent, shares and stocks bringing in dividends, or gold or Bitcoin going up in value, as well as businesses that you may have invested in. Liabilities could be taken as credit card bills, mortgages, holidays, branded clothes, smartphones, anything that doesn't put money in your pocket. So over time, which one do you think will make you richer? That's right, the assets will, because they continue to grow your wealth, whereas the liabilities, although they may give you that gratification and the pleasure in the beginning, but they continue to lose money. The problem is that poor people focus on looking rich, whereas the rich focus on being rich. So they will go out and buy branded clothes like LV belts and smartphones and brand new cars and vacations and put it online on Instagram and Facebook, only to have other people think that they are rich. But 5 years down the line, they will be in the exact same place, living from paycheck to paycheck. 59% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, meaning they don't have enough funds to cover an emergency. And you know that's very, very risky, because if something happens to your job, what do? Where do your funds come from? This is why the rich keep getting richer. They won't spend the money straight away on their holidays and on their smartphones and the branded clothes. They will go and buy an asset first. And when that asset starts to make money, they will use that money to enjoy their luxuries of life. So for example, you have £1,000 and you buy an iPhone, and your friend buys shares in Apple. Fast forward 5 years, your iPhone has lost majority of its value, whereas your friend's £1,000 shares have gone up. They've in fact become £2,000 worth. He can now take his £1,000 out and let the free money work for him. Where the poor people focused on buying a liability, the smartphone that gave them pleasure there and then, they felt great for a year, but then they saw the value of the phone go down and down and down. Whereas the rich person with the rich mindset invested his £1,000 into Apple shares and watched it grow and grow and grow over the next 5 years. Now if he wants, he can go buy a brand new iPhone from the profit his money made him. So the next time you want to buy something, just think, are you buying an asset or a liability? Now guys, if you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button, as it really helps me out a lot. Next, they pay themselves first. Now this makes rich people sound really greedy, but the idea is a poor person will spend first and then save at the end. If there's anything left to save, that is. And often we know what happens. They will say, well, I ran out of money, I've got nothing to save. But if they had saved the amount first and then spent the money, they would be in a much better situation. And fast forward a year from now, they would have a lot more money saved up. Now you may think this is really hard to do. You're right, you may struggle, and I'm not saying it'll be easy. But trust me, until you do it, you will not realize how little you can actually live off. Once you've paid yourself and you have a certain amount left, you will do anything it takes to manage with that amount. And eventually you realize how easy it becomes. Now, I'm not saying completely get rid of all your pleasures in your life, but trust me, once you implement pay yourself first, you will learn to live with what you have. next paycheck, put aside 5 or 10% before you spend anything. And 6 months down the line, when you see that cash grow, you will feel so good that you started. The other thing that enables rich people to pay themselves first is the way their taxes are set up. Earned income is the highest taxed income. When you get paid, the government takes their tax first and then you're left with what to pay. So for example, you earn £2,000 a month, the government takes around 20% cut, so you get £1,600 left. Now you are to spend your monthly bills and everything else from that £1,600. Whereas the rich people will open a limited company. Now, the company is legally allowed to spend everything first and pay tax on what is remaining. So it could look something like this. A company earns £2,000 in the same period. They will then go and pay their employees, their rent, every other expense that they need to. And they're left with around 500 at the end. Now they will pay tax on that 500 in the end. See how little they paid compared to a person who's employed. These are the little tricks that rich people use to make more and more money. If you're enjoying the video so far, hit that like button. Next, they have multiple income sources. An average millionaire has 7 income sources because they simply don't want to rely on a job that will pay them month to month. And there is no security with that. We've all seen what happened with people due to COVID. Millions of people have unfortunately lost their job. Imagine if they had multiple income sources. Would that job loss bother them as much? Of course not, because they would have an average of 6 other incomes to support them. Some other income sources that rich will have are from shares, bonds, stocks, gold, investments in businesses, people from Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. All those investments they make are passive income, which means they invest once and the money works for them. Each investment that you see on Dragon's Den is an additional income source for that dragon. How many investments do you think Peter Jones has made over the last 10 years? Maybe 100? So he has 100 ways of making money. There are 100 different money checks coming into his account every month. This is why the rich get richer, because they want to increase their income sources. Now guys, if you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button, as it really helps me out a lot. Next, they network with other rich people. Now you may have heard that you are an average of 5 of your friends. Now, this is very true. Think about it. If you hang around with people whose goal is to make money, to become successful, eventually that will rub off on you and you would want to do the same. But if you hang around with people who just want to chill all day, spend their money and live paycheck to paycheck, where do you think you will end up? You will have the same mentality as them. Networking with rich people means you will be exposed to the opportunities that rich people have. Next time you're going for an interview or a meeting or a presentation, think about the people being in the meeting are not your colleagues, but your role models and your idols. And just think about the way you will present to them and watch your brain prepares you for that meeting. You will prepare in a much different way versus if you had just been presenting to your colleagues. If you network with successful people, eventually you will become successful. So start networking with successful and ambitious people. I'm not telling you to dump your friends and go and get rich friends. No, I'm saying network with people, meet as many people as you can, because you never know, there will be an opportunity around the corner. Next, they implement ideas fast. An idea means nothing until it's implemented. Rich will implement an idea as soon as it comes into their head, whereas poor will ponder over it and overanalyze until their brain simply tells them it's not good enough. If you think about an idea long enough in your head, you will actually convince yourself that it's not a great idea. Now, nothing that you do in life will be 100% risk-free. Now, that doesn't mean we don't ever take risks, because risks mean rewards. When was the last time you had an idea that was great, and then you thought and thought and thought until your brain simply convinced you to just leave it? It's not good enough. I'll fail. And here's the thing, our brain is amazing at finding the thing we send it to find. So if you send your brain to find positive things, it will find only those. But if you start thinking of the flaws in this plan, your brain will do just that. For example, when Elon Musk started Tesla, he put all the money that he got from selling PayPal into SpaceX and Tesla, to a point where he had no money left for rent. He had to borrow money for rent. And he says in his own words, when he started Tesla, he believed it would be a failure, but yet he believed it was so important that he had to try it. Now that company is now the most valuable car company in the world. Elon Musk is now the most richest man on earth. He did not get there by simply telling himself of all the things that could have failed with Tesla, but he found the one thing that was right. He found the one thing that could have made it work. He found that one reason that made him get up every morning at 6 a.m. and work till 1 a.m. at night. The founder of Starbucks was rejected around 460 times before they were invested in. So they were rejected 460 times by investors telling them, I don't believe in your coffee shop idea. It's gonna be bad, it's gonna fail. Imagine that. Someone tells you no 4 times, will you try again? Dyson, such a popular and expensive brand around the world, but it took 5,000 prototypes before Sir James Dyson got the vacuum right. He could have given up 5,000 times, but he believed in the idea and implemented it. This is the thing that makes them rich: persistence and never giving up. So the next time you have an idea, just think 100 times before you give up on it, because it may be the next best thing. You can find good and bad things about everything, but just try and find that good thing that will motivate you. Now guys, if you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button, as it really helps me out a lot. Financial education. The importance of financial education is just as important as you going to Japan and speaking the language, or you going to Spain and speaking the language. If you want to be rich, you have to speak the language of money. How can you expect to do well in Germany or Spain if you don't speak German or Spanish? It's exactly the same principle, and that's where the poor people go wrong. Rich people invest in financial education. They invest in knowing these loopholes. They invest in knowing that a company pays its expenses first before they pay taxes, which means fundamentally they pay a lot less tax. They know that earned income is the most taxed, so they don't work for money, they make their money work for them, which is why you see any rich person's majority of their portfolio, their income is coming from capital gains, investment, because that's the least taxed income, or it's coming from rental properties, but it's not coming from jobs, because the government tax the jobs the most. Taxes are actually government's way of telling you how to spend your money. So sometimes government would have tax reliefs on certain things that a normal employee would never know about. It's the rich people that find out about it, because they've taken the time and the effort and the money to educate themselves about financial knowledge. Last but not least, they read books. Trust me, I probably sound like a broken record right now. You may have heard this 100 times before, but reading books is so underrated, it's unbelievable. This is how millionaires are created. Imagine having an expert in a field come and give you advice one-to-one. And then on top of that, they've taken the time to put all of their thoughts and condense the best of their thoughts into a book for you. You can literally teach yourself anything, and I mean anything. Elon Musk is an engineer. He's not a rocket scientist, but he's now running SpaceX, which is the first company who's inventing rockets that can come back from space. So imagine if you went on holiday and they just left the plane there. That wouldn't be very economical, would it? But that's exactly what they were doing with rockets. And Elon Musk, he saw that and said, why are we chucking away 100 million worth of rockets? We should do something to bring them back. He has nothing to do with rocket science. He's not a scientist. It's considered to be the hardest form of science. He taught himself that just by reading books. So imagine the things you could learn. If you're enjoying the video so far, hit that like button. Some of the books where I would recommend you get started are Unfair Advantage by Robert Kiyosaki, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book completely changed my outlook on life, on finances, on businesses, on working. Every single thing you think about money right now is about to be challenged with this book. It teaches you how to manage assets, how to manage liabilities. In fact, a lot of people don't even know they're buying liabilities instead of an asset, and that's where they go wrong. It's about Robert Kiyosaki and his two dads. One is his real dad, who is a teacher and is the poor dad, and the other is his friend's dad, who is the rich person and he's a businessman. they both have completely different outlooks on life. Poor Dad is an employee, he's a teacher, he's an academic, he's a really well educated person. But his goal is go to school, get a job and retire. Whereas the Rich Dad says, never work for money. Work to gain skills, and then you can put those skills and work for yourself, and then make your money work for yourself. An average person, if they live till 75 years old, you're essentially working for 25 years, sleeping for 25 years, and chilling for 25 years. So if you want to be rich, you need to find ways of making money in your sleep. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki teaches you in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And trust me, I hate reading. I absolutely hate reading. So I use Audible, which is literally an audiobook. So I'm listening to a book while I'm in the shower or while I'm working out or driving. You're literally educating your brain while you're working your body. So before you go, please like the video, share and subscribe, as I'll be uploading videos every week. See you in the next one.